of time.
Yes, indeed. And Vice President Yemi Osinbajo wants the federal government, states and the National Assembly to create a plan for the development of the Niger Delta. Osinbajo stated this at Poroza in Baramatu Kingdom of Delta State at the start of a fact-finding visit to the region.
He declared environmental pollution in numerous abandoned projects in the region and called for a concerted effort to build into the future.
Of the federal government, state government, the National Assembly in this region, National Assembly representatives, alongside the NDDC and the civil society representatives of the Niger Delta people, must sit together and develop a plan and funding arrangements for rapid development, and make sure that we carry it out and that we deliver on the promises we have made to the people.
It is obvious that the visit is a visit of partnership. He has come to think along with us, and together, by the special grace of God, we will get out of the challenges that we have at the moment.
We think that deployment of military troops under the cover of oil installation protection is a manifestation of system failure. It is therefore our appeal and hope that your visit today will pave the way for the militarization of the area for genuine and result-oriented dialogue. Dialogue under military occupation and harassment is a dialogue in change.
Without peace, the dreams that we have in terms of the Maritime University, in terms of the gas center in Ogedengwe, in terms of all the fairly huge job potentials that oil companies can bring, will be a mirage.
Ijaw people have always worked with leadership in this country. We are ready to work with President Buhari. Let federal government stop persecuting Ijaw leaders.
All right, so we're joined now by Niger Delta activist Joseph Eva, and joining us also from Port Harcourt is Niger Delta activist also, Ankyo Briggs. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. But before we start this discussion proper, let's take a quick break and return. All right, you're welcome back. We're looking at the Niger Delta and the federal government's push for peace in that part of the country. Joseph Eva is our guest right here in the studio, and Ankyo Briggs is in Port Harcourt. Let's begin with you, Ankyo.
We have to direct the question first to the
okay. Well, all right, that's fine. Mr. Joseph Eva, I'm sure you're excited about the Vice President's visit to the Niger Delta, specifically Baramatu. Of course, we hear he will be visiting other regions in that part of the country. How does this visit resonate with you?
Yeah, well, we welcome the visit. We welcome the visit. It's good to see things for yourself. We wanted the president to tour the region, but the vice president, Yaradua, sent the former president, Jonah, telling the government, be sincere. It is not just the jamboree, visit and tour around. I want to thank the Minister of Petroleum Resources State, who is really running around to make sure that there is no disturbance to the pipeline, and so that oil will flow for the budget 2017.
Okay, it's a good thing. All right, we have our Port Harcourt guest now, Ankyo Briggs. Are you there?
I am.
Okay, very well. Many thanks for joining us today on TVC Breakfast. The Vice President is in the Niger Delta. He's been there before for the Ogoni cleanup. Are you optimistic that his visit will yield good results?
I definitely am not, and a lot of our people down this way are not. Thank God you mentioned the Ogoni cleanup. The Ogoni cleanup has been going on since this government came on board. and we're 2 years almost. President came and unveiled a plaque in Ogoni land. So as far as we're concerned, it is still the same pattern that this government is following. I don't really blame this government. I blame our people. I think that the Niger Delta struggle for justice and equity and have taken us for a ride, and I think this time round the ride is very clear and very obvious, and it is a shame that we have reduced ourselves to this level. Some of the things that the Vice President spoke about, he was telling us that the Niger Delta area is an area of poor infrastructure. I mean, what type of information is that? He's coming to confirm our gains and the neglect that we have suffered, not just from this government, but from the time of amalgamation to independence to today. You know, that's not what we want to hear, quite honestly. What we want to hear is, how do we restructure Nigeria? We want to restructure Nigeria. We've been carrying on with this sharing formula that is never going to work, has never worked, and we no longer want this sharing formula. We want 100% resource ownership, and we want to pay tax to federal government. Now, what is very difficult to understand in that, it's not only Ijaw people that are in Niger Delta. Yes, Ijaw people have contributed a lot. No one can take that from us. So to our voices being heard in the Niger Delta. But Ijaw people are not the only people. I mean, when he finishes, is he going to visit Ishekiri? Is he going to visit Ikwere? Is he going to visit Ekpeye? I mean, is he going to visit all the ethnic groups? What is this that is going on? It's a way of knocking the Niger Delta people's heads together and making the Ijaw people stand out as sore thumbs. Why Ijaw people all of the time? Yes, all of us have an issue in the Niger Delta. But when the government itself finances or if you like, packages it to look as if it is Ijaw people that they will listen to, it's not fair to us as a people.
All right, Ankyo, let me come in here. Let me come in here, if you will. Would it be fair to expect the Vice President to visit every segment of the Niger Delta? That is on one hand. But the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, has said that there is a need for the future, or for us Nigerians, including, of course, the Niger Delta people, to prepare for the future. And he has said for the future to happen, 3 things must take place. All stakeholders must come together to join hands and ensure, hold on, let me land, and ensure the funding for, developing a plan for the development of the Niger Delta. That is one. And there must be a recognition of the unique position of the Niger Delta as a development zone for Nigeria. That is, every part of Nigeria is a stakeholder in what happens in the Niger Delta, and of course the unique environmental and terrain challenges of that region. These are things.
I don't see how every stakeholder in Nigeria is a stakeholder in Niger Delta. It's only Niger Delta people that are suffering the devastation. It is only the Niger Delta people's wealth that the rest of Nigeria is taking. So if you say that everybody is a stakeholder in cutting away the resources that the Niger Delta, that is my take. People may not agree with me, but I believe that that is the only way that we can remove this wedge. That we can remove this wedge that the federal government is driving. Now, to say to us that all of a sudden the Nigerian government has realized that the Niger Delta is a special area for development, I think it's an insult and an assault on the psyche, on the intelligence, if you like, of the people of the Niger Delta. They have heard what we want to say over and over and over again.
All right.
We want to restructure Nigeria. We want to do away with the Constitution. The 1999 Constitution is skewed against the 1999.
Okay, and we'll get back to you. And take a breather. We'll get back to you. Let's have Joseph react to quite a lot of things that Anne spoke about. One is that why are they singling out Ijaw people? Why is the vice president not visiting the Ikwere, for instance, and some other strong or notable ethnic group in the Niger Delta? And that what they want really is restructuring, not any kind of negotiations.
Well, even restructuring is negotiation. Even restructuring. Even if we want to restructure Nigeria, we have to go to the same round table we are talking about to negotiate. But now there are some emergency things, there are some certain things that are very, very important. For example, the poverty in the Niger Delta now. Before we are talking about, if we are talking about poverty want to kill people, the pollution, and that was why we are telling our children not to burst pipeline, because the environment will affect our future generation. Now we are talking about some emergency matters.
What are those emergency issues?
There is poverty everywhere.
Yes.
There is, in fact, the suffering in the country. Like in my last program here,
what
TVC,
ethnic group do you
for
belong
example,
to?
I belong to the Ijaw ethnic group.
Okay, would you want to respond to that?
Why?
No,
there is no government. There is no.
Why are they just championing this?
We are championing it because in every state in the Niger Delta, Ijaws are there. It's just like in the old Southwest, you see it as a Yoruba area, but there are some other ethnic groups even within the Southwest. So in the Niger Delta, if it is River State, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Ondo, even Ondo, the Ijaws are there. They have local government. They have local government chairman. In fact, the deputy governor now, the elected deputy governor of Ondo State, come from Apo Ijaw. So we are in every part of this. So there is no way, even we champion this struggle first through our late hero, fallen hero, Isaac Boro. Because we are facing the direct, and every area. So because of our population, that is why you won't be surprised when Ijaw beat drum in Ondo State, it vibrates in Akwa Ibom. Yes.
You talk about the pervasive poverty in the Niger Delta region, which is what every Nigerian has come to appreciate.
Yes.
But don't you think there is a need to cut this government some slack? They are taking steps. Ogoni cleanup, and then you have the vice president. You have a vice president who has met with the PANDEF, led by
for example now PANDEF.
Yes.
Now some people in government start sponsoring other groups to counter PANDEF. This is the problem. This is the problem in Nigeria. For example, you are in this country when the spokesman to the president told us that government don't know who to dialogue with in the Nigeria. As a journalist. You're supposed to be ashamed of what the spokesman to the president saying.
But the government
is indicting the security men.
Yes, we understand that. But the government is dialoguing with a specific group now.
Yes. So why will the spokesman? These are the confusion. That's why our daughters suffer. When our daughters came back from Cameroon, they were crying. You're a woman. How do you feel? Can you eat food when you saw our daughters crying for recognition? Those who want gold. That is the problem in this country. And that is why I'm advising, again, I will repeat it in every media house. Asuwaju, you are the arrowhead of this new government. You must move. Rawlings in Ghana, after he becomes the arrowhead of government, he will go around and make sure that he insists on what is right for the people of Ghana. That is why you are seeing Ghana.
What kind of move do you expect?
For example, our daughters, when they were suffering, crying in Abuja, sleeping inside hotel, crying. Asuwaju, who brought this government, who mobilized the people, that yes, even if Buhari has resigned from politics and he said he will never contest again in Nigeria, he still brought him in. He will go and meet him that this is not good for the image of our party.
So because you want him to be part of this delegation? Would he have been part of this delegation? Would that have sufficed?
Yes, because with his experience. And the reason why Nigerians felt that if it is Asuwaju that is bringing a candidate and is mobilizing other parts of the country to work with this president and make him to win the election, because of what he has done in Lagos, let us give him a chance. He should make sure that even all this regional matter in terms of what my sister Ann Kyo is talking about, it is possible. But when some people in government will sponsor confusion.
All right, well, this is not really necessarily about Asiwaju. Of course, it's talking about Bola Ahmed Tinubu there. he's playing his part, we believe. But of course, there's a lot more to discuss on this particular issue. Government's push for peace in the Niger Delta. It is clear, without peace, absolutely nothing can happen in that region.
For example,
we'll take a short break and return with
come
more. Stay with us.
Yes. You're still on to TVC Breakfast, and right now we are looking at a government's effort at getting a lasting peace in the Niger Delta region, so peace can go on, so economy can be back to its normal state. And we have with us in the studio Joseph Eva, who is a Niger Delta activist. And right in our Port Harcourt studio, we have another Niger Delta activist, Ann Kyo Briggs. And the question now is to you. A couple of demands have been made by the people the Vice President met yesterday. One of them is to release those people who've been held behind bars, according to them, unjustly. Your take on that?
I answer that question. I want to make this very clear. I don't want to be misunderstood now or in the future. I never said that Ijos did not push the struggle. I said that nobody can take it from us, that the Ijos have brought the struggle this far, but that the federal government should stop pushing the Ijos into the fray as if we are the only ethnic group. By so doing, knocking the heads of all the other ethnic groups against the Ijaw people's head. That should be made very clear. Having said that, I totally agree that the people, a lot of our youth, a lot of our sons are held. Many of them we don't even know where they are, and are the only ethnic group. By so doing, knocking the heads of all the other ethnic groups against the Ijaw people's head. That should be made very clear. Having said that, I totally agree that the people, a lot of our youth, a lot of our sons are held. Many of them we don't even know where they are incarcerated. They will bring up people that they pick off the street and they say that they are members of Niger Delta Avengers. And yet you hear on television 400, 200, 100 Boko Haram suspects have been released. Released into where? You know, so they should release all Niger Delta youth, particularly, these are particularly the judges that are within the hands of the federal government under one charge or the other. There is no terrorism in the Niger Delta. Nobody in the Niger Delta is a terrorist. No act in the Niger Delta has so far been declared by the world or by Nigeria as act of terrorism. What is happening when 7-year-old boys and girls are strapped to bombs and they are pushed into places where they blow up people? Now that is act of terrorism. So yes, I do agree with that. Now all the things that are being requested for, see, the Niger Delta people today, we have lived with poverty. It is only when our people went to Abuja that they actually saw that they are so poor that they didn't actually believe that Abuja was part of Nigeria.
Yes, indeed. We are aware of that, Ankyo. We hardly have time. Isn't that why this government is actually taking steps and actually walking the talk and putting a lot of attention on the Niger Delta? Now, let's look at some of the things that the VP, Yemi Oshibajo, actually looked at. He has called on the people of the Niger Delta to hold the IOCs, the international oil companies, to their promise to ensure that they actually, keep to the promises they have made with the host communities. And of course, he talked about the indigenous participation in oil companies. How can this be achieved? I mean, we're trying to look at the way forward here.
Yes, we are trying to, but I don't expect that from him, because he knew that the oil companies are not even paying their dues to NDDC. He's aware as the vice president.
So what would you advise? What would you advise this government to do in terms of ensuring that the IOCs live up to?
We expect them to hand over these people to the EFCC for trial. The Shell managing director and Chevron managing director to face trial. EFCC has not invited anybody. Even the oil block, for example, Danjuma got oil block, Niger Delta, Malabo oil block. They don't want our own oil block to operate. And the vice president is talking about why indigenous of the Niger Delta should go into oil exploration and all that. Even the oil block, 2 oil blocks, during Abacha era, giving out. The one of Danjuma is enjoying the oil block. The man who don't know the color of crude oil, but the Niger Delta oil block, Malabo oil block, every government that come now want to confront it. This is injustice.
But government says it will look into this 16-point shopping list.
For example, we expected the vice president yesterday to announce that the Malabo oil block, just like the way the former president has settled the matter out of court, the matter is out of court and there is no problem. There will be applause there.
Okay, Joseph.
There will be a round of applause there.
Joseph, ever tomorrow we crave your indulgence to come back for us so we can have a proper discussion and have time to really look at some of these demands, take them one after the other, and the nitty-gritties of this demand. Do we have your word on that?
No problem.
All right.
All right. I hope we can have the word of Ankyo Briggs too, because this discussion would not be complete without your input. Would you oblige us tomorrow then?
I'm sure of that.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
My sister Ankyo, Happy New Year.
Well, do you have, before we wrap this in another 2 minutes, on the issue of the IOCs, which the Vice President talked about, holding, for the community to actually hold the IOCs to account, what can you say very briefly about that?
We should hold the federal government to account first. They are a 60% partner in the IOC system in Nigeria. This government just thinks that we're fools down here in Niger Delta.
All right, we'll hold the federal government to account. That's Ankyo Briggs' submission there. On that note, we want to say thank you so much, Mr. Joseph Eva and Ankyo Briggs, both Niger Delta activists looking at this. They have given us their word. They'll be here tomorrow so that we can look at this even more.